Assalamualaikum, my name is Ilya Maisarah binti Mamat with metric number 2700074. Our system is Interior Design Sketch System by Amanitli Co. Company. And our client is Prof. Madya Dr. Siti Zakira binti Kamaluddin. The main goal of the system is to improve the user experience by managing a better space for them to use in a long term. This system also helps the interior designer to decorate indoor buildings such as home, office, and school, especially in collaboration with the current technology. Users can get this experience by downloading our apps in their mobile phone. Here are the list of the requirements to build this system for a functional requirement. First, for managed customer self-service, its systems admin will set an appointment with designer, and next, the admin will check client dates of appointment and make sure there is no overlapping dates between designer and client. Lastly, admin will send an confirming message a day before an appointment date to the client. All of this requirement is mandatory requirement for a priority. Second step, the client must make a registration in our downloaded app. Client register and create their personal password after register. The priority of all these requirements is mandatory. Third step, after client successfully registered, they need to choose design by requesting the design that they want. Then, the client also can check the type of design, which is the theme, materials, colors, and space that client want to decorate. All of these requirements is mandatory priority. Fourth step is designing process. Designer and client can view the previous design if there are any changes. This is desirable requirement. Next, designer will start to make design according to client choice. And lastly, designer will update the progress in our apps. Fifth step, modify and confirm design. Client can change design if there are any changes, and they also can confirm the current design if they were satisfied. Last step is client can proceed by make a payment. System admin will show a price based on the design, and admin will sum up the total of the final price according to the chosen design. Lastly, client can proceed the payment process via cash or online transfer to the designer company. For non-functional requirement, first, performance. The system should be available to use for 24 hours per day and 365 days per year. If the system crashes, it should behave perfectly normal when reloaded again. System should display all types of design for client to choose. Any design should be processed within 10 seconds. Next, security. Only staff can see the client information, and only client can access by insert the password. Only designer has authority to edit the design. Culture and political. Personal information must be implemented so as to comply with the Data Protection Act. The design should not be offensive by any countries. And lastly, operational. The system should be able to integrate with the existing inventory system and accept customer data. All of these requirements is mandatory priorities.
Hi, my name is Nur Amir. Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Amir binti Muhammad Nur. My metric number is 2700042. I will continue with activity diagram. In activity diagram, we have 4 elements, which is client, system, admin, and designer. So client will start with a register. In register process, client need to input a personal information and create a password. And then system will display menu. And then after this display menu, client can view previous design and also can request a design. After client make a request design, admin will check client date appointment. Admin will match designer to client. After that, designer will make a design and refer back to the client. If client choose that designer, client will confirm design, and if not, client can change design. After client confirm design, system will show price based on design. And after that, designer will maintain design information. After designer maintain a design information, system will come back with sum up total of design and display payment method, which is online banking or cash. After that, client will make a payment, and lastly, admin will process. I will continue with use case diagram. In use case diagram, we have three elements, which is admin, client, and designer. Admin will manage customer self-service, when client will make registration, choose design, and make payment. And designer will connect a modify or confirm design with client, and designing process also with client. After that, in use case, we will talk about brief description and preconditions, and then characteristic of activations, flow of events, post conditions, rules, constraints. For first use case, we will manage customer self-service IDSS01, and in this use case is initiated by an admin. This use case will enable the admin to manage customer self-service using the system to make sure client and designer meet at the time that already set up. For the precondition, we have three from it. Admin must have internet connection to make sure the message will be delivered to both client and designer. Secondly, admin must have device such as laptop, smartphone, and computer. Third, admin need to take information from client and designer. For characteristic of activation, it was event-driven, which is on client demand. For the flow of event, this use case began when admin clicked the Add Client button. The system shall display information page for client to fill in. Admin will fill the information of client names and request date to meet designer. After that, admin shall check a client date with designer. Admin confirming appointment date with client, and after that, admin shall send confirming message a day before an appointment. I will continue with post condition. In post condition, client will be set appointment with designer within the time given. For the rules, we have two rules. Only admin can edit date in the system, and client cannot change the appointment one day before. Lastly, constraints. Client can set an appointment with admin. Other than that, will not be able to meet the designer. Last, I will continue with use case 2, which is make registration IDSS02. In this use case is initiated by the client. This use case will enable the client to make registration to log in into the system. In pre-coding, we have three of it, which is client must register only the legal staff of the computer. Secondly, client must provide personal information to the system. Last, client must provide correct information. For characteristic of event of activations, it also on client demand. I will continue with flow of event. Flow of event. This use case began when the customer pressed the register button. The system shall display information section for client to fill in. Client fill all the information in registration and set password. Client click complete to make sure all the information safe in the system. In a post condition, client managed to access their design in the system. In a rules, client must put the correct password and information in the system. Lastly, constraint, client can only access to their account and cannot make any change of the design without any consultant with designer. That's all for me. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Nur Anisabila binti Muhammad Sapawi and my metric number is 270021. We'll continue with third use case, which is choose design. This use case is initiated by the client. This use case will enable the client to choose design, request design, and check type of design, which is theme, materials, colors, and space. The preconditions is client must have registered in a system and has logged in on Idss. Client can view the main menu on Idss. The characteristic of activation is event-driven, which is on client demand. The flow of events is request design. Request design is optional requirement, which is the display design not suitable with client taste. Second is check type of design. Check type of design is mandatory requirement which client must choose the theme, materials, colors, and space for their chosen design. The post conditions is the client manage to choose design, request design, and check type of design, which is theme, materials, colors, and space. The rules is client only can choose the following theme, materials, colors, and space. Client also can request design from system in Idss. The constraint is client just can view design from Idss. Okay, next use case is designing process. This use case is initiated by the client and designer. This use case will enable the client to view previous design. The designer make design, match designer to client, and designer update the process. The preconditions is client must request design from system in Idss. Admin set an appointment of designer and client. The characteristic of activation is event-driven, which is one client demand. The flow of event is view previous design. View previous design is optional requirement for client to view the design or to request new design from system Idss. Second is designer make design. Designer make design is mandatory requirement for designer after client request design. Next is match designer to client. Match designer to client is mandatory requirement for admin after client request design from system Idss. Admin must set an appointment between client and designer. Lastly, designer updates the progress to admin is mandatory requirement after appointment with client. Feedback about the appointment should be updated to admin. The post conditions is client needs to meet a designer as stated in the appointment. Designer will make a design as client asks. The rules is only designer can update the process with admin. Client also cannot make another appointment. The constraint is client just can follow admin instructions. Okay, next is modify or confirm design. This use case is initiated by the designer and client. This use case will enable the client and designer to change design and confirm design. The preconditions is designer or client must have devices such as smartphone, computer, and so on with internet access. Designer or client must have installed the IDSS apps on the device. Client is registered in the system and has logged in on IDSS apps and create their personal password after registered. The characteristic of activation is event-driven, which on user's demand. The flow of events is change design, which is optional requirement, which is it can be changed or not to change suitable with client taste. There is button to change the theme, materials, colors, and space based on the client's satisfaction. Next is confirm design. Confirm design is mandatory requirement, which is client must confirming the choose design before designer proceed to next procedure. Third is post conditions, which is using the system. The user has received information related to client's next date of appointment and weekly designing progress update by system admin. The rules is not applicable and the constraints only client access by entering their personal password. Meanwhile, designer can be accessed by the system admin.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Amanil Izzah binti Abdul Afif and my metric number is 269877. I will present the 4.6 use case make payment IDSS 06. First, 4.6.1 brief description. This use case is initiated by client. This use case is made for customer and designer to discuss about the payment of the design that they already made, and admin will sum up the total amount to the designer to make sure that the client will pay through online transfer or cash. For 4.6.2 precondition, admin will sum up all the material of the design that the client requests, and client must pay on time. Other than that, the system will cancel the design. For 4.6.3 characteristic of activation, event driven is on client demand. For 4.6.4 flow of event, basic flow, this begin when client and admin deal the design and the designer give to client. And 4.6.5, which is post condition, client will make a payment when admin sum up the total of the design. And the 4.6.6, which is rules, only admin and client can use the system, and client should pay on time and cannot pay installment. And the last one is 4.6.7, which is constraint. Client just can make a payment with admin only. That's all from us. We hope that this system will help client to experience the most exciting part of designing. This system will make sure that client will find it easy to make design without taking too long with design guidance. Thank you.